Okay, let's hear from our race winner, today's 33rd annual Drive for COPD 300 NASCAR Nationwide Series race. Our race winner, Regan Smith. He drives the number 7 Ragu Chevrolet for JR Motorsports, and he's joined by his crew chief, Ryan Pemberton. This is Regan's 4th NASCAR Nationwide Series victory, his first win at Daytona. And Regan, congratulations. As you mentioned to me off stage there, a little bit different turnout than last year, but we just had Dale Jr. and Kelly in here, and they just talked about how big a deal this is for this race team. But I know it's a big deal for you personally as a driver, but just talk about the moment right now that you're having here after winning this big race.
It still doesn't, it doesn't feel real. It's a very special moment. Last year was a tough pill to swallow. There was a lot of circumstances around it, and nobody felt worse than me on Sunday morning and Saturday night. And we're fortunate that all turned out well with all the fans and everything. And I think we learned some stuff from that coming back here this year. But to talk about today, it was I didn't know that it was going to happen. We were at the beginning, I made a move to go 3 wide, thinking the top was going to work today like it normally does, and got hung up behind somebody, I forget, maybe the 85 car or somebody like that, and broke all my momentum, and we ended up in 40th before I even blinked. And we had to work hard all day long to get our track position back, to get back to the front. Ryan made great pit calls. We took 4 tires early, so we didn't have to worry about tires the rest of the event. And got those on there. We protected them in the pits, coming onto pit road, whatever the situations were, which we practiced the other day. And, through good pit stops, the guys would get 3 or 4 spots each time for us. We'd make a couple moves on the racetrack to get a few spots, and, just in the right place at the right time. The 6 car certainly played a big part in us winning, and Trevor with him back there. I say pushing, but he was basically just bump drafting is all it really was, and that's all we can do now. He stuck with me, and I don't know how it would have worked out if he would have tried to pull out and gone 3 wide. It either, maybe he gets shuffled, maybe I get shuffled, maybe all of us get shuffled. But he stayed there. I was able to get on Brad's door going into turn 1 just at the right moment and get even with him. And once we got even, I felt like we had an opportunity to get to the stripe at some point. And I pinched him off through turns 3 and 4 as much as I possibly could. And once we came off the corner, I made one last dive to the wall and pulled out on him. And at the same time, I got a bump draft from Trevor almost at the exact time that I started pulling off of the 22 car. And it was just enough to surge us forward. And, my cards were on the table at that point. I went to the wall as quick as I could, and without losing the help that I had behind me. And, it was either going to be enough or it wasn't. And we were fortunate that it was enough. I did not think we'd be able to line up on the outside and get that win. That way I was kind of going to be happy with 3rd or 4th and getting out of here with some good points to start the year with. And you never want a points race at Daytona, certainly. But now we don't have to worry about that. We got the win, and we're going to enjoy this one.
Congratulations. And Ryan, congratulations to you as well.
Thank you.
Maybe just tell us about a few things that you thought were key with today's win.
Well, key was keeping the car, which we talked about prior to the race. What our goals were, and our goals were to be mechanically sound and do all block and tackle, do all those things properly. And that comes down to don't speed on pit road, don't leave a wheel loose, and don't run them out of gas, which we were, I'm still not.
You were nervous.
I'm still not, there's like an hour there with the cautions and everything that it was real close. And he does a great job at managing that, and that allows you to have the confidence to go forward and let him rely, use his skills and save some gas and do all the things properly under caution and coast and all the right things to make to have an opportunity to win the race. And that's what we talked about all week. It was just the fundamentals, make sure that we didn't take ourselves out of the game. And if you look at the lineup, it's the guys that might have had a shot at, they made mistakes, and it was a little bit tougher to pass this time than last time, or I think everybody's organized a little bit different on the racetrack. So, being out front was key, and I was really worried about the fuel mileage. When you're running 6th or 8th, and you can do a lot of part throttling. Our fuel mileage is good enough to make it from that last stop, but that's when you're running sixth. When we pitted and come out, and I think he stole the lead there real quick on that restart, and we were led most of the last segment, and fuel mileage was not going to be good, and so I was really preaching to him about being very, very smart on the throttle and to save a little bit here and there when he could. So, you know, that was kind of our race, and we gave him an opportunity to win the race. And from past experience, he does a great job at it. And you know, we let him take the ball and run with it. He scored a touchdown. So
good deal. Definitely got a touchdown here today. We'll take questions for Ryan or Regan. We'll start back in the corner there, Allison, over your shoulder there with Jared. I'll come up front to Tom.
Hey, real quick, too, not to interrupt you guys. This was a big deal for us today. It was Hendrick Motors' 300th win as a company. So
300th win as a company.
We're very proud of that fact and proud of the engines they build. That I didn't realize that until a little while ago, and 300 wins is a huge number, you know, in any sport, and especially in NASCAR. So we're really proud of those guys.
Yeah, Jared Turner, FoxSports.com. Regan, when we chatted on the media, on the media tour when we talked, you mentioned your desire to get back to the Cup Series. Is this the kind of win you think that makes people kind of take notice and maybe helps you ultimately, you know, get back to reaching that goal?
I don't know. You know, I'm going to enjoy this win for what it is tonight. We're going to go back and have a good time with our team and know that we won at Daytona. It's a huge deal to win here no matter what the series is. And, you know, I myself have been trying for years, been close a lot of times, whether it was dual races or whatever, 500s, different things. So I'm going to enjoy that. You know, my comment was that this year there's two goals, and that's to win Junior Motorsports their first championship and for me to prove to the right owner that I belong racing on Sundays. But that first goal is the primary goal. You know, I've got a great opportunity with a great crew chief, great team behind me, and you know, Dale Kelly and Mr. H have given us every opportunity to go out there and reach that first goal, and that's what the primary focus is going to be. And, you know, if we do that, then the other stuff will fall into place. But right now we're just going to enjoy Daytona.
Let's come up here to, was it Tom had a question? Over here to Hill, and then far left to Al. Go ahead, Tom, front row.
Congratulations, guys. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. Regan, this is your fourth series win. How does this one feel different than the first three?
It's completely different. You know, they're all special in their own right, and they all have meaning and things like that that are different feelings and emotions that come with it. You know, at Homestead, I was coming off an interesting year, and I would say in a 2-month swing, by the time we got to Homestead, I went through every emotion you could go through as a race car driver, and that just, you know, pumped me back up to the point where, okay, I know how to drive a race car, and I know what I'm doing out here. You fast forward to, let's see, Talladega, and Talladega was a situation of you know, wait all day long. You get to the end of the race, you make the right move. You don't know if you win or if you didn't win. You find out you win. You're excited about that. Different style race than what we did today as well. It's, you know, two completely different forms of speedway racing. Michigan, you know, at the time was Greg's home track, and you fast forward to this, and this is Daytona. You know, it's like it's Ryan's first win at Daytona. I know it's my first win at Daytona, and you know, it's pretty special. We've had the opportunity to work together in the past, and you know, to get paired back up this year and get to fight for a championship and have the caliber of equipment and people we've got working with us. You know, I'm pumped up about it. We went to dinner the other night, you know, with all the guys, and it's just we got a good group together that's gelled early, and that's important. And certainly a win helps to gel even quicker. And you know, there's going to be ups, there's going to be downs. We're not going to think about anything other than you know, just doing what we can week in and week out from here on out.
Thank you. A couple of New York guys, right?
That's right. Syracuse plays in a little while.
That's right. Okay, let's come over here to Hill, and then we'll go over to Al.
Yeah, Hill Overton over here to your right. WNDB radio. Regan, speaking of right moves at the end, was that side drafting you did with Brad on the number 22, was that the key thing in your mind to being out front by a nose there? It looked like it was about 3 feet at the line.
Yeah, there was a couple moves that happened. We got shuffled. I guess it was, so we took the green and we got shuffled coming to the white. to where I was on the outside of the 54 car, I think, and don't quote me on this. I got to watch the tape to exactly remember it because some of it was a blur. But we got shuffled back a little bit, and I saw Brad get just a little bit out front of the 54 as we took the white flag, and that gave me just the ability to choke the 54 down a little bit. And as Brad was having to come back, and as the 54 was closing up on him, it gave us enough momentum going into turn one to get to his quarter panel. Once I got to his quarter panel and actually ended up almost door to door with him, then it was about just pinching him down for the whole rest of the lap all the way around. And you know, the 6 cars back there, you know, bump drafted me at all the right times. Just, you know, I felt them, and it was, you know, you're dancing around. The cars don't like the bump draft. Generally speaking, they dance around a lot when we're doing it. And, you know, I think my biggest concern going into 3 was that the 54 didn't bump the 22 too hard with me on his door and send us both spinning, you know, in a joint spin there. Once we came off the corner, and I pinched him down all the way through the corner. Like I said, I ran it to the wall as quick as I could. I got off of him. I had caught just the right bump from the 6 car to where it sent me forward when I needed to. And you know, at that point it was a drag race, and we can thank our Hendrick motor for that at that point.
Far left over here, far left to Al Pierce.
Hey, Regan, Al Pierce from Auto Week. Junior was in here a minute ago, and he said that he felt like last year's finish affected you very deeply for a long time because of the fan involvement. Is that true? And if so, how long did it take you to kind of not get over that, but get where you could race comfortably again?
Well, it did. And, you know, I'm fortunate that I've got a boss who's been in a lot of situations in this sport and understands a lot of different things over the years in Dale. And, you know, we went to dinner Saturday night. We were both getting ready to run the 500 on Sunday, and we went to dinner, and you know, I forget where we were eating, but you know, he just basically said, you got to shake it off. You know, it's racing. Nobody, you know, it's no fault of anybody's. It just, things happen. Circumstances sometimes happen, and you know, he offered up a lot of good advice through that situation, and it did bother me. I mean, I'd be lying if I said it didn't. You know, I think some quotes after the race were taken out of context, and some of the fans maybe didn't understand that I was answering another question, and sometimes that's tough to get your point across. That, look, you know, I was highly concerned about what had taken place there, and you know, I was just answering another question after that. But you know, with him, you know, being able to talk to him and lean on him for advice and lean on him for situations he's been in and involved with, he's you know, he's very calculated and all that stuff, and understands a lot of things like that in a lot of situations. I was lucky to have him, you know, to be able to lean on in that situation, and you know, I've continued to do that throughout the years. I've learned more in a year and a half since I've been at Junior Motorsports than maybe I did in my whole career up until this point.
Question right here, this gentleman.
Mr. Regan, you're one of 43 drivers tomorrow, and you're.
I wish I was one of 43 tomorrow. I'm going to watch on TV like everybody else.
He's not in the race.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's okay.
What is that like to try to compete for that big race?
Well, just speaking in terms of years past for me, it's special. You know, Daytona, you wake up in the morning here, I guarantee there's 43 guys that are not going to sleep very well tonight. And they're going to wake up tomorrow, and some of them will be a little groggy because they didn't get all the sleep they wanted to, and you just have that different feeling of emotion. And I got to imagine it's going to be the same feeling that 4 guys are going to have when we get to Homestead later this year. But the difference is 43 of them are going to have it here tomorrow morning, and you know, certainly it pays points, and you still get the same amount of points for Daytona. But we, as drivers, as teams, as crew chiefs, you know, we separate this event from the rest of them. This place is special, and it means more than anything to win here. And you know, I know there's a lot of guys you could talk to. You say, do you want a championship or Daytona 500? And some of them would they'd have to think about that question pretty long and hard. So you know, it's going to be a special day tomorrow. What I've seen as a driver, watching what the cars are doing and what they're capable of. When they're out there running, we could see one of the more entertaining 500s that we've seen in a number of years tomorrow afternoon.
Other questions? Kenny front row right here. Kenny and then Randy.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Ryan, and I guess for Regan too, how good is this team once you guys get out of Daytona? I mean, because, you know, everybody talks about what a crapshoot it is for the Cup guys. It's no different for Nationwide Series. So when you guys leave here, I mean, how strong do you feel your program is going forward?
Well, I mean, I think Junior Motorsports is stronger. That's collectively that's we're getting finished 5th in owner points, 3rd in driver points last year. Competitive, a lot of different racetracks, and I think we're just really building a better foundation for not only our team but all junior motorsports, and that's what we have to rely on junior motorsports to make it all happen. And I feel strong. Yeah, I feel good about this race team. I feel good about all 3 teams, and I think that's going to elevate our program going forward to having real competitive cars, multiple car teams help lean on each other and make better decisions at the racetrack. So the foundation's there. The cars are mechanically we're better. Like the whole situation, everything's better. The pit stops are better. We're better organized. Hendrick Motorsports with Hendrick engines, their support from the pit crews, everything else we're doing. So we're better now than we were. So we'd like to continue to do that, and I think that things will change and will grow as the season goes on.
Randy, over here to
Ditto. The foundation's amazing that's being built, and that started with Ryan and Dale and Kelly and everybody last year or 2 years ago, I guess now almost, with the changes that were made and just continuing to grow it. It's we got 3 teams that we truly believe week in and week out are going to go out there and challenge for wins. And it might not be the 7 car one week, it might be the 9 car, or it might be the 88 car, or I think the 88 it'll be the 5 occasionally. But we know what we have for equipment going into this season and what's been built and the foundation that's been laid, and that's a testament to the hard work. And like I said, these guys, vision throughout the course of not only last year but going back into the year prior to that. And we truly believe as a company this is the year we can step up and challenge, the Penske cars and the Gibbs cars week in and week out and stamp our name right beside them, if not ahead of them. Thanks.
Any additional questions? Randy off to the left, and then back in the back to Bob Pockers.
Yeah, Reagan, Randy Kovitz, Kansas City Star. Not to belabor the last year situation, but you referenced it even, I think, coming at the end of the race, talking about redemption, and as you were bearing down on that final turn, did it pop in your head at all, or did it pop in your head afterward?
It popped in my head.
Yeah, I don't. As a driver, honestly, and I just, you can't let situations like that pop into your head. You have to go out there and believe in your abilities, believe in what you're capable of doing on the racetrack, and trust the competitors that are around you that you're going to get back to the stripe and finish the race off. And I think the way that this race lined up with the rules package, with guys being 2x2, really made it a little bit smarter, a little bit safer coming to the stripe from a standpoint of if we'd have been 3 wide, it might have been a whole nother ball game. We don't really know. And it just seemed like you never had to worry about that outside line getting out there to get 3 wide with you, and that you were more worried about the car behind you, making sure that they were in position where you needed them to be. So, to say I haven't thought about it this week at all would be a complete lie. When I was out there actually racing, it was not in my mind at all. And, I was focused on what my job was, and that was to make sure that the 7 car got back to the stripe first.
It was in my mind.
You're allowed to think of that stuff more than I am.
Right here, Jay had a question.
And Bob. We'll get to you, Bob.
Jay Pennell of Fox Sports. When we spoke earlier this week, you said, if NASCAR is going to be policing the bump drafting, tandem drafting, that you didn't want to be a cop in that situation. How do you think everybody handled themselves today? And we only saw 1 black flag for it. And what did you learn that you can use going on to the next 3 super speedway races?
Well, I think with us only seeing 1 black flag, everybody handled themselves pretty well. What I saw once I got out front, I didn't do much of it myself when I was in the back. There was a period in the race where we were just kind of riding, and at one point I had Chase in front of me, and when you got 2 team cars close together, you don't want to risk anything in the middle of the pack with those 2. So just trying to be smart there at one point, and feeling our car out to see what it was capable of. Next thing I know, we were able to get the track position, get out front. And once we were able to get out front, everything that I saw and everything that I felt was strictly bump drafting. And, even when we used to hook the cars up when we had the tandem stuff, the initial getting the cars together was never smooth. It was always bumping off of each other. So you're still doing that. you're just never laying right onto them and being connected basically. And clearly by what, with only one black flag, and I don't know who it was, but one black flag, 99 car, then, we all did a pretty good job of understanding the rules. And I think when you put it on paper and when NASCAR talked to us at the start of the season and at the end of last year about the rules and what we were going to have to do, that's what they envisioned. And when they tell you guys are the best in the world at this, you understand what to do, then clearly we did.
Let's go in the back, Bob Pockris, and then over here to the right.
Bob Pockris, Sporting News. You guys worked a little bit together back in the GIN racing days. I mean, do you feel like, did that help at all as far as kind of getting up to speed with each other?
Well, I don't think it hurts. I think it definitely helps Ryan know my personality, me know his personality, and know, just how each other functions, how we work, how we act, and things like that. So no, I don't think that hurts at all. It's been, I would almost say even more so than that helping with Ryan as competition director, last year and watching over both teams. I think he saw, and he can correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think he saw a lot of things that I could have done better as a driver and that we could have done better as a team, especially as it got down to the end of it. And he was always involved, always had his hand involved, running the meetings, doing the things that we do, on a weekly basis. So, if you want to be technical about it, we worked together all last year too. And it was, that made it more seamless coming down here and knowing what we had to do from that standpoint, I think.
Yeah, what he said. I really believe that. We've been friends for a long time. I've known Regan since he was even shorter than he is right now, and
fatter.
So yeah, and so it's kind of fun to do this. Back then was I don't remember what year it was. What year was it?
The 07 maybe.
We'll go with 07. And Mark Martin was only wanted to run a limited schedule, and we said, well, we were looking around like, who do we want to put in this car to, some up and comer kid, find somebody to put in the car. And I knew, like I said, I knew Regan when he was even shorter, and so I'd been watching him for a few years, and I really believe that he had the talent to do it. So. That was my vote to put him in the car and share the ride with Mark Martin and start that season. So now you think about it and mention it, I never really thought about it, but now it's kind of pretty cool how it's all come around like that.
It's gone full circle here.
Good point. I like that. Thank you.
Final question over here to the right.
Terry Sabiston, WNDB Racing 1150. As somebody whose brother has won here at Daytona as a crew chief, winning at Daytona is huge. And what's it feel like? I mean, you're a winner at Daytona International Speedway.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what Regan said. For me, the last hour, I've had my heart broke down here a few times. And
I was sitting on the box with one of them.
Yeah, like, I know how it all happens. I mean, you saw him lead. You thought we had, basically, I thought we had it won last year, and that didn't happen. And so up until it went all the way across the line, I about couldn't look. The last hour was pretty nerve-wracking, and it is Daytona, and it's one of those things. I had opportunities in different situations to win here, and whether it be the time we almost won the race with Mark Martin, and Harvick beat us to the line there, and there's cars wrecking, and if they threw the caution, we would have won the race. If they didn't, it was all these kind of scenarios that those things keep slipping through. I mean, all the way to, 2 years ago, I was leading the race with Blaney, and somebody hit the what was it? Jet dryer. Yeah, jet dryer. Hit the jet dryer. I said, man, we're going to win this race because there's a hole in the racetrack. And then that didn't happen. So there's all these things where you're like, man, is this how you're going to win it? Or, that. So, this right here is pretty cool because we didn't need anything else. We executed like we said we were going to do, and give ourselves the opportunity. And I think that he did a great job of easing up through the pack. And we didn't make any mistakes and gave ourselves the best shot at it. And he took care of the rest. So it's Daytona. It's awesome. It feels just as good now as it did. I think I won the 500 with Davey Allison. Not as a crew chief, but as a mechanic, and that was awesome. But it's always special. It's now you go like 15 or 20 years later, and you get a chance to win here. I think it's going to be best when I get back with the guys and celebrate a little bit and think about tomorrow. That's, right now it's kind of like, the adrenaline was so, for me, the last hour it takes a lot of worrying and a lot of thinking, and it just takes a lot out of you. So I'm ready to go hang out with the guys.
Okay, we'll let you do that. Do just that. Congratulations.
You kind of got what I was getting. I want to go hang out with the guys.
I hear you, Ryan. Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys for being here, and enjoy
You got
tomorrow.
about
It's
as
going to be
much
a good
tact
one.
as your brother.